Good morning, everyone, and welcome to online live psychic readings. And this morning we have Fulvia Ferrante, who's with us, not for readings, but for a live chat about 7 Principles of Spiritualism. So I'll hand the rest of this morning. It's going to be about half an hour, 45 minutes. Say hi to Ferrante and we'll have a lovely time. Okay. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning, Veronica. Thank you for introducing me. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. The talk of this morning will be about how the seven principle came together. So when we talk about the 7 principle of spiritualism, it is inevitable not to mention Emma Hardinge Britten. Emma Hardinge Britten was born in London in 1823, and her father passed away when she was still a young child. So she started performing and giving piano lessons when she was very young to support the family and help with the financial aspect of the family life. Emma Hardinge Britten was a brilliant spiritualist. She was a lecturer. She was an editor, and wrote a substantial number of books. Traveled all over the world to advocate for spiritualism. Most of all, she will always remember that as the pioneer through which mediumship, the 7 principles, were delivered, and they became the philosophy on which the spiritualist and nationalist union is based. During her whole life, Emma Hardinge Britten declared that she received the principles through from the spirits, and that afterwards the principles developed from the spiritualism. Because I'm saying this because most of for a long time it was believed that the 7 principles were given to him from Robert Owen. What Emma believed through the inspiration from Robert Owen are the 10 statements that you can find in the creed of the spirits. Let's say we find Emma in the early 1850s in New York, and she had a sitting with a medium called Ada Hoyt. And in that way, after this sitting, she became involved in spiritualism. She kept on developing her psychic abilities, working working for the Society and of Diffusion of Spiritual Knowledge in New York, where she also met Kate Fox. And back then she was asked to speak to give a lecture, and back then women giving lectures were very rare. But anyway, she accepted the challenge. So Emma Hardinge Britten gave her first lecture on the 5th of July of 1857 at Troy, New York. And what should have been a lecture to claim her Orthodox faith became instead uh, um, a lecture for spiritualism. And I'm going to read an excerpt from the lecture, which is the most known from the lecture in Troy. Uh, Thus, then, when the New York spiritualists, stimulated by the glowing accounts of my debut, as given by Troy friends, invited me to occupy their platforms on the succeeding Sunday, July 12th, I accepted the offer, confident that I, through my spirit inspires, could be so severely rebuke the infidel spirit which I felt was existing amongst my New York associates, that in all probability I might convert many of them to the true Christian faith. The spirits had promised me that on that special occasion I should hear every word I spoke, and so I did. But the result of those same to New York lectures was that instead of converting any of my audience to orthodoxy, I converted myself entirely away from it. Nor has my incessant study of ancient history, science, and God's Bible of creation ever suffered me to relapse again into the mists of superstition invented by priestcraft, or shaken my assurance of my own personal responsibility, both here and hereafter, for all good or evil I have ever done on earth. In After this time spent, the time spent in New York in 1865, and I eventually came back to England just to go back shortly after to meet the publisher of her first book, Modern American Spiritualism. And here she met her husband, William Britton, and they got married in October 1817. After their marriage, Emma hid back to England, and when arrived to England, they found that the scenario had changed a lot. There were more organized society, spiritualist society, and they were all asking Emma Hardinge Britten to give lectures in their venues. So she from November till the end of the year 1870, she took part to divine services in Cavendish rooms, but basically the venue was so crowded and full that they needed to look for a bigger venue. So basically, from the beginning from the beginning of 1871, January 71, Emma Hardinge Britten started giving a series of lectures at Clevendale Hall in London. The last lecture she gave at Cleveland Hall on the 30th of April 1871 was entitled "The Creed of the Spirits and the Influence of the Religion of Spiritualism." And it was the most compelling and inspirational address about spiritualism. And during this lecture, Emma Hardinge Britten mentioned for the first time the principles, which were only four. The principles were: I believe in God, I believe in the immortality of the soul, I believe in the right or wrong, I believe in the communion of spirits as ministering angels. Subsequently, the principles were published in several journals and changed also somehow, but in 1883 they were published in the Medium and Daybreak, and they were basically the ones published in this journal were slightly different, and they recite like: I believe in the fatherhood of God, the brotherhood of man, the immortality of the soul, personal responsibility here and the hereafter, and eternal progress. After these events, of course, Emma was still traveling all over the world, giving lectures, and she, of course, as mentioned before, the principles would evolve through spiritualism. She was invited in 1887 at a ceremony held at Oldham Spiritual Temple for the laying of the foundation stone, and she read and she gave a lecture here as well. What has spiritualism taught, and what has it done for humanity? This lecture consisted of 12 statements, which the end of of the 12 statement were basically uh, synopsis of her principles. And here again, the principles changed. They were um, they were given at the lecture slightly. They were slightly different from the ones given at the lecture in 1871 at Cleveland Hall, and from the one published in 1883 from The Medium and The Daybreak. And the principle given at Oldham, they recites, I believe in the fatherhood of God, the brotherhood of man, the immortality of the soul, personal responsibility, compensation and retribution hereafter for all the good and evil deeds done here, and path of eternal progress open to every human soul that wills to tread it by the path of eternal good. Afterwards, in 1890, Emma Hardinge Britain also got involved in the foundation of what is nowadays known as the Spiritualist National Union, because in 1890, upon her initiative at the meeting of the National Conference of British Spiritualism in Manchester, Emma addressed the conference, and she proposed a resolution that was subsequently published in the Two Words on the 25th of July 1890, where she said that the time has come for a greater unanimity of opinion concerning the fundamental basis of our philosophy, so that the term spiritualism and spiritualists may be associated with an accepted and definite significance. And Emma also kept continued addressing the conference by saying that spiritualism is a religion that is founded on fact received by discarnate, whose life continues in the spirit world, and that their communication was basically established and scientifically proven, that any opinion or any opinion, belief, or dogma were not accepted because they couldn't be proven, and everything resided by believing in the spirit that we understand and call God. And again, during this conference, while she was addressing the conference, she reiterated the principles that were given in 1887 at the laying of the foundation stone at Oldham Spiritualist Center. Still, they are, I believe, in the fatherhood of God, the brotherhood of man, the immortality of the soul, personal responsibility, compensation, and retribution hereafter for all the good and evil deeds done here, and a path of eternal progress open to every human soul that wills to tread it by the path of eternal good. And finally, in 1902, at a conference held in Bhutan, the Spiritualist National Federation ceased to exist, and this was a long process, because basically it was what he was trying, what he was done during this long process. Basically it was trying to organize all the different spiritualists, organizations, and society in one organization, under one organization, which is today the Spiritualist National Union. So during this long process, took nearly more than 5 years to come to this point. And during this conference, basically the Spiritualist National Federation ceased to exist, and pass the assets and the assets and liability to the new founded Spiritualist National Union. And afterward, it was known of a memorandum of association, and basically the seven principles were incorporated by the first president of the Spiritualist National Union, William Johnson, in the memorandum of association, with a slight change. And the principle incorporated in the memorandum of association were the principle given by Emma Hardinge Britten in 1887, with a slight change, because what was basically the third principle, the immortality of the soul, became the continuous existence of the human soul. And the third principle, the communion of spirits and the ministry of angels, was retrieved by the conference, by the one given at the conference at Cleveland Hall in 1871. Even though this is not certain and can't be proven, and as we can see, the seven principles were added to the memorandum of association right at the beginning of the legal process. um, and they became uh, the principle on which the philosophy of spiritualism is based on. And it must be also clarified that it has never been said um, that the principle, the first president of the union decided, William Johnson's decided to add the principles to the memorandum of association, uh, as they were given. It was more uh, uh, done because the association, in order to found the Spiritualist National Union, they were needed to be added in uh, in the memorandum. Um, and it's interesting to see as through the different phases how the the principles came together, and how nowadays they are basically they became uh, through through changes along the way, the philosophy of spiritualism. It must also be added that when the Lyceum became a, a branch, was incorporated in the Spiritualist National Union, they had um, there was a slight different set of principles. Uh, but when the Lyceum was incorporated, also at the same time they uh, adopted the seven principles, the same as the Spiritualist National Union. Um, and it's interesting also to see how during the lecture, the first lecture at Cleveland Hall, um, Emma Hardinge Britten came with the first four principles, and she after the invocation, and thoroughly address um, the congregation. At a certain point, she recites, "The spirit lives. Um, our own destiny is unfolded to us. Our own hereafter is made clear, and plain. The way is marshaled by those we love best and those we can trust. And now we would ask how far these beings, not as authoritative teachers, but as guides in the direction where we are to search out a higher responsibility even than we have hitherto assumed the responsibility of forming our religious belief, how far can we trust them? I shall here speak briefly of the creed which is evolved from spiritualism. I may not now pause on the methods of evolution. You have heard some of them in past discourses. You may apply those to the results which I now offer. And then there were the first four principles. I believe in God. I believe in the immortality of the human soul. I believe in the right or wrong. And I believe in the communion of spirits as ministering angels. Um, I and with this, I would like to close this talk and remind you that you can find all the information uh, on the Pioneer, the bi-monthly journal published by the Spiritualist National Union, whose curator is Paul Gaunt. And there's also this available, the original, the Creed of the Spirits, and the Creed of the Spirits that is uh, has been compiled by Paul Gaunt and published by the Spiritualist National Union. All the information um, that you want, you might want look into, are on the Spiritualist National Union websites, including the seven principles, how they are known to today, nowadays. And there's mm, there's also there's also the book, The Philosophy of Spiritualism, which is the backbone of everybody, and of especially mm, um, for the students like me, where I keep to go back to, because every time it's like reading them um, all over again, and getting um, a deeper understanding of the principles, and how they can be applied to the everyday life, and really they can guide us um, in a um, in our life in our life. Um, I would like I would like to thank again Veronica Jenkins for giving me the opportunity to give this talk again. And also, I would like to say that again, I'm not a teacher. I'm not an award holder of the Spiritualist National Union yet. Um, there's a question from Facebook, from a Facebook user. do you think the 7 principles should be changed or removed? Well, this is a very, yeah, this is a challenging question. It has been discussed many times about the principles being, that the principle maybe need to be changed or, well, removed. Absolutely, I don't, I wouldn't say be removed, because they are the philosophy they represent. They are the philosophy of spiritualism, and without the 7 principles, um, I mean, the union, the spiritualist national union, based its philosophy on the 7 principles. Changed, it has been discussed many times to adapt the principles to the current times, but apparently there is a legal glitch there, and it's not possible to change. It would be a little bit too laborious to amend the principles in the memorandum of association, and has been said many times. Also, many people have asked to adapt maybe the language to the current times, but yet again, it is not possible to do that for legal reasons. Okay, another Facebook user. I do believe they are the heart, yes, of the SNU, but I'm interested in whether they should be changed. Um, okay, Facebook user, there's no name. What what you would like to, what do you mean when you say that they should be changed in the format, um, number, content, language? What is your, what is the change that you are interested in, that you would like to see in the 7 principle? Because there are many aspects of them, and it has been discussed uh, many times before. Hi, Colin. Hi. um Colin, what change you would like to see in the 7 principles? I know that you asked me a question and I asked you instead of replying, but change um could be in the language, the content, the interpretation. And yet again, unfortunately, for legal reason, and that has been clarified and reiterated by the union, by Charles Colston, that for legal reasons, going into change the memorandum of association would be a very um, tricky process, and that's why the principles can't be changed. But I'm curious to know, what is the change that you would like to see in the principles? Because this it's a recorded session, so someone in might watch it in of the Spiritualist Union, but I know that they already know about this. I don't know if it. I believe. Okay, this is from Colin again. I believe they are thought energy put yes into the written word. Each letter, each word, and each sentence has its own unique vibration, and as such, they will resonate with some people but not with others. Can the vibrations which they emit be changed so that they are of a greater magnetic resonance, so that more people may attune with them and align their energy to them? Okay, Colin, is this still you asking? Um, I feel it's very misogynistic, and the brotherhood and the fatherhood, the humankind would be a better wording now. The principles are just words that aren't upheld by the SNU, nothing kind about them, and no personal responsibility or accountability. You know, to the last part of your comment, I can't really, you know, I can't really answer on the behalf of the SNU. You know, the last part, the principles are just word. I would suggest you to address this directly to the SNU, because I don't think there's nothing kind about them, or and no personal responsibility or accountability. If you feel maybe, ah, Colin, okay. Okay, the first comment was yours. Okay, not the last one. Okay, okay, that's fine. Sorry, because the other one. And Colin, to reply, the vibration in the, it depends. It might be because those, they are, when each each and every one of us reads the seven principle, it's we experience them in our own personal way. And it might be, that we feel the energy and the vibration of the world, because um especially if when we read the past, the lectures held by Emma Hardinge Britten, but also when we read the philosophy of spiritualism, there were the lectures from Emma. From Emma, we know they were inspired lectures, and it might, yes. When I read, I have been I must be, when I read the Creed of the Spirits, I can, I can feel the inspiration that the words are coming through in an inspirational way. They are not written as in an like as if she was writing the lecture from an analytical point of view, just to make, to make sense, to give a sense to the lecture. um, and especially, I read, for example, I read only the beginning of the four principle given at Cleveland Hall. But for example, if I read the first, I'm going to read the first one. I believe in God, and for that I know that spirit, matter, and motion are external existences, co-equal, co-eternal, co-existent ever. As I believe in matter, then so do I believe in spirit, and the totality of that spirit, that mastermind that was even before form, that moved upon the chaos and void, and evolved therefrom order, harmony, and form, is God. Finite as I am, I can never comprehend his infinity. Temporal pilgrim as I am now, passing on and ever passing on in temporality, I cannot master his eternity. It is enough for me to know that he is all wise, for the majesty, order, and beauty of creation prove it. He is all good, for the beneficence disclosed in that creation proves it. He is all powerful, for its stupendous strength, its glorious and majestic permanence proves it. And yes, this is basically what the first principle in this other book says. And yes, we can feel um, the the inspiration coming through uh, coming through the writing. I agree. We do perceive them in accordance with the frequencies of our own awareness. Uh, yes, yes. Um, it's always a different experience, because for example, for me, the first time I read the Creed of the Spirits, of course, I had I was not very familiar with what was everything new. Not that now I know everything, because I always say that I will be a work in progress forever. But I could feel, the first time that I read it, I was trying to make sense of it, but then reading them again, um, it the inspiration can be felt, um, through can be felt through them. Okay, Colin, the reason why I'm asking is because it appears that the question surrounding the seven principle has risen again, and maybe this might be the time to have a sincere debate regarding them. Colin, as far as I know, I took part in several events organized by the union online during the pandemic, and one was held recently, uh, and there was the secret, was the talk was given by the secretary of the union, Charles Colston, and he reiterated again that because of legal matters, the principles can be changed in the memorandum of association, and because of that they can't be changed in, they can be published, changed in a book as well. Otherwise, um, otherwise the union might lose their charity state. There are some legal legal, in aspects involved, and because of them. Okay, yes, Colin, I'm glad. I'm glad that we were together attending. But I know that many times, it has been asked for the principles to be changed to adapt the language to the modern, um, the modern days. But unfortunately is not possible. But even if the language it's a little bit outdated, in my opinion, and this is my personal opinion, I'm not talking on behalf of the SNU or anybody else, they can be understood. They can be understood. And apart for the heading, when we talk about them, we can use our modern language. A modern language. It is not said that we have to go back and use all old-fashioned terms or words that are not used, you know, are not used today. This is only it's only my opinion. So everybody can. Mm, but even for me that I was not born uh, in a family where spiritualism was the main religion, or I joined spiritualism quite late in life. I don't um, I don't find the wording so uh, mm, so old fashioned. Even the heading for me was just a matter of understanding the meaning, and I'm still, every time I go back to them, there's always a new level of understanding from for me. um, and when I decided to write, when I choose this topic, I I was curious uh, to know how they came, basically they came together. um, and I'm very I'm glad that I did that, because knowing also the different stages of how they developed gives also a deeper understanding of the philosophy itself, um, which is really um, what is required uh, from spiritualists, as well as this the speaking of our the addresses, when we all know that the addresses are based on the philosophy. And the more we know and we understand the philosophy and the seven principle well, the more we are able to um, you know to let the world know how valuable they are. um, People might be at a divine service and they might not be spiritualists, so give them an understanding, present to them the seven principle, or talking about one of the seven principle, and it's a way of helping them, and also let them know that they are valid and they can guide us in our life. Okay, it's still from Colin. It's interesting because on the one hand there is the SNU with the seven principle, and on the other hand there is the mass of people who are awakening, who have no affiliation to any organization. I am interested in how or if the two will merge, and if not, which way it will the whole situation go. Uh, okay, this is still my personal view, um, my opinion, and not um, what I think is that no matter where we come from, our path of life, I think we are all working towards the same goal, whether is based on the seven principle or not. um, Everybody is working towards the same goal. And as we know from the fifth principle of spiritualism, personal responsibility, we have choice. So people can choose if they want to join and abide uh, to abide by the seventh principle, or not, but still working towards towards the same scope, which I think is what really matters in the end. I from my what I choose is I believe in the principles. They're important to me. But if someone else um, doesn't want to, because they feel that maybe uh, getting, joining our organization, they feel too tight to in that mm, environment, but they still work from the same point, doing good, helping people, and they know the difference from right or wrong. Maybe they use different terms for that. um, as we all know, if we look at different religions, in the end, uh, even if they are based on different, let's call they are not the seven principles, but they all worship the same deity, which is God. Thank you very much to you, Colin. Thank you for your questions. It was very interesting interesting to answer to them. I was not expecting. Was Thank you to you, Colin, for asking the questions. And we are at the end of the talk. Thank you to you all again. I hope that this was of any interest to you. And again, if you want to know more, uh, go to the Spiritualist National Union. There you can find the edition of the Pioneer Journal, whose editor is Paul Gaunt, since 2013. You can download them, or they are divided by subjects. There are different subjects regarding the Spiritual National Union and their and you can subscribe also to the Pioneer, or contact directly Paul Gond. He also holds study weeks at the Arthur Findlay College in Stansted. Um, thank you very much again. I wish you all a nice continuation of the day. And I thank you again, Veronica Jenkins, for giving me again the opportunity to give this talk about a topic that is very dear to me. Thank you so much, and have a good day, everybody.